yet. Enter live studio. Offline. But it says we're live over here. It doesn't say we're live over here. So does it say we're live over here? Bang, bang, bang. No, we're not. Bang, bang. Bada bang, bang. Okay, so this says we're live, but this says we're not. Okay, I guess I should actually show you guys what I'm looking at. So let's go here, and let's go here. There we go. So what I'm looking at is this, and this says Twitch is offline, YouTube is offline. But if I go over here, it says I'm live. So I'm going to assume I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. And yeah, so today's going to be a fairly chill stream. Yeah. Bonjour. What's good, my man? What's good? What's good? So yeah, we're going to start off by playing a little bit of Raid Shadow Legends because yeah. Cuz I don't really CAVA. What's good, man? What's good, Mr. PP? I see you changed your name back. Yeah, we're gonna start off with some Raid Shadow Legends though, because I've got some Raid Shadow Legends stuff I need to handle, and I need to be live right now. And yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just like, I just got back from a massage, so that was cool. The idea was to try and get some of my back and neck worked on. The lady was real nice, but she didn't actually have enough body weight. She was probably like 150 pounds. So she didn't actually have enough body weight to really get in there. So she did some work in there, and she did a little bit, but oh geez, I'm going to lose to this team. I did not expect to lose to this team. But she didn't weigh enough to actually get in there and get anything loosened up real good. So I rescheduled for another appointment, but hopefully this time I can get somebody else who can really get on in there. But it helped a little bit for now. We'll see how I feel over the next couple days. But I got home immediately and started foam rolling because I felt like I needed to. I just kind of feel like I feel like she did a good job at loosening me up. She didn't do a good job at tackling the aches and pains, is basically what I'm saying. And so yeah, basically what I'm saying is, luckily it was covered, so I didn't have to pay anything. I just tipped her because I was told that's a common thing to do in the massage industry. So I just had to give her a tip. So it basically cost me $10. That was about it. I gave her a tip of $10, and then that was it. So that was awesome. But yeah, it just, I don't know. I feel like I need a little bit more deep tissue massage than that. Wimley, TU something, do you speak French? Is that what I think he said? Wimley, do you speak French? I thought of a really good micro buff to Revenant. Ooh, cool. Okay, 1 second. Let's see. Let's go here. Let's go down here. I'm going to try and get these arena tokens down to like 1 or 2. And once we get those arena tokens down to 1 or 2, I'm going to put this one on an auto clicker. And I have a second Raid Shadow Legends account that has some things that I need to do on it. So, bing, 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 bing. Bink, 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 and bink. Okay, cool. So never mind. I can't fight any of these teams and guarantee myself a win. So I'm not going to fight any of these teams. I am going to go with getting rid of some of this excess energy. Right now, this game is in the middle of a spider tournament for the fusion event. And so we're going to go ahead and click here. So you might notice this blue border up here. This is a app called BlueStacks. And what this does is it emulates a phone. So basically this page that you're seeing right here is almost like I'm playing on a mobile phone. But it allows you to do some cool things, which are things like this, which is a macro recorder. And so you can set things up and basically have them do it on auto for you. So I created a macro here titled food. And what this macro literally does is it goes from up here to down here, clicks the replay button where it's supposed to be, and then goes back up here and clicks stop. It doesn't actually stop it though, but it thinks it's gonna stop, but it doesn't. So as you can see, it's repeated that movement down here, click back up here. It's repeated that movement 14 times. It basically, that cycle takes about a second. So, as you can see, basically every second it tries to click repeat. So basically, whenever we get done here and we beat the spider boss, which it's getting ready to take a turn, so we might not beat him as fast as I was hoping. But once we beat the spider boss, basically you'll see my cursor up here, at the top of the screen, and it should just click, and we start another battle without me having to do anything. What that'll then allow me to do is pull up the other Raid Shadow Legends account, get some things done in there. Once we're hopefully ran out of energy on this account, which is my main actual account, once we're out of energy, we're going to set up a clan boss run, and I can show you guys what changed. I used to do the clan boss runs, and it used to take me like 9 turns. Now it only takes 2. Hey, what's going on, Luke? Spider boss gets the real, get on a real game, man. Hey, man, it's a chill stream. Didn't you read the title? I'm just trying to chill today. Just trying to relax. But yeah, as you can see, we automatically clicked replay. So now we're going to minimize here and pull up the other BlueStacks account. This is the other BlueStacks account. Jeez. Anyways. Yeah, okay. So, for a second, though, we're going to read some comments because I'm a little bit behind. Jump on Apex. I mean, man, I'm just trying to chill, man. I'm just trying to chill. I'm not trying to get all hyped up and play some Apex, man. Let's see. But yeah, here you can see this is the spider tournament. This is the classic arena takedown. Here and here. Close that out. Close that out. Close that out. Close out all the ads. Oh, we got some heroes here that we can't use because we are full. French is a dead language. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, the global language has started to become English, that's for sure. But, I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say French is dead. It might be dead in Canada, but I know it wasn't dead when I was around, being an American. But so let's see. We've got Summon Rush, which I'm not going to participate in. Dungeon Divers. Then we have Spider and Classic Arena Takedown. So this account, we're also going to try and get our tokens down. Once we get our tokens down, we're going to set us up in Spider and start farming some Spider. Bank, bank. You on Apex is chilling. I'm in isolation. I can't watch this, man. Oh, man. So you're off work now? Here, I'll hop on Apex. PP, you want Apex too, right? All right, I'll hop on Apex. Once I get everything set up, I'll hop on Apex. I've got a few more things to set up though first, but I'll hop on and we can have a bit of a discussion here. All right, let's use up some of this. But in the meantime, let me read some other comments that I'm missing. A micro buff on Revenant, and tweeted it to the Balance devs. I said it would be really nice micro buff for tech removal of mobility debuffs when crouched, still taking other effects. So basically give everybody the ability like Revenant to walk fast while crouched is what you're saying. Yeah, all this week. Jeez, man. All right. Sounds like it's going to be an Apex week for the rest of the week then. We're just doing these easy fights right quick. So see a fence and can't go to shoot it and stand, crouch through it. And Bangalore's bombardment slows you down. Crouch, you're still not running speed, but you'll be crawling. But you'll not be crawling. Yeah, that'd be a cool idea. Just make it like Revenant. You're like Revenant in the sense that you can crouch and move fast. Would be cool. I'm burning. Oh, geez. Well, I'm sorry your parents still are turning up the heat too much for you, PP. All right. We're just getting, like I said, we're just getting these easy battles out of the way. We'll set this one up on an auto clicker as well, and then we'll jump on into some Apex. Thank goodness, man, I'm falling asleep. That's the point of the music, Luke. That's the point of having the music, to supplement my my talking and the things. I mean, if music, me talking, and video are making you fall asleep, man, I think you got some ADHD, bro. I think that's what's going on. All right. Spider Den. And we go down here. This is the only one I know for sure that I can beat. We're going to go here. We're going to click this one as well on the food. Bang. So now this account is running on Spider, and so is the other account. Dang it. This one. So this account keeps having this problem, and I don't know why. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this battle finish and hope that it fixes itself. It probably won't, but nah, French is a dead language. What is this BS? But you're Canadian. Jump on Apex. French is a dead language. I'm joking, LOL. French is alive and well, sadly. Hey man, I mean, French is one of those, it's the like romance language that everybody knows about, right? I mean, it's the one that everybody says sounds super sexy. I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. I do have to admit, American version of English does not sound romantic by any means, but you know, it is what it is. PP, you want Apex, right? English is a dead language. Yeah, no. No, the Revenant buff and remove the mobility debuffs from him while crouched. Yeah, I mean, that'd be cool too. PP talking more French. I don't know enough French to actually read that. And yeah, okay, so I was gonna have this account run Spider while I hop over to Apex. But I don't think that's going to work, so I think what we're going to do is we're just going to have to come over here and farm levels on our characters and food, basically, because apparently Spider's not going to work. I did check the forums on Raid Shadow Legends. Apparently this is the thing, so... Oh yeah, the macro's still going, so let's stop the macro here. Where's a hero to level? All the way down here, probably. I'm looking for somebody to level. None of those. None of those. Let's see, we've got 150 energy, so that would be a waste if we did any of that. Oi. Sure. We're probably going to waste a little bit of energy. Oh, wait, no. Well, here's what we could do. We've got the actual multi-battles that the game gives us. So what we're going to do is we're going to click here. Here and here, and then we're gonna go with bang, bang, bang. Start multi-battles, do not continue, edit queue, scroll down here, and start leveling these guys up once those are done. So yeah, we're gonna start a multi-battle here. Once we start our multi-battle, bang, bang. Cool. We should be good to minimize all of this. Yep, okay. So that's minimizing, and we are going to have to go into OBS and change from here to there. There we go. All right, so we should be good to pull back up the chat and start up Apex Legends. So let's give that a shot. Probably should plug in my headphone too. My microphone too. Seeing how I'm assuming I'm going to be playing with Luke, I'm assuming he's going to want to hear what I'm saying. So let me plug in the headset microphone and get everything going here. Okay. Just Revenant. Okay, well. I mean, I think it'd be cool if while in Revenant mode it did that for everybody. Klepper, I guess, are you gonna play Apex or something like that? I don't know. PP, I don't know that much French. I know a little bit, and I know more of it if I heard you speaking it than you typing it out, because that's what most of my experience with French is hearing other people speaking it, not typing it out. Anyways, let's close here. Hey, what's going on? Hi, just followed. Well, I'm sorry if you came here for Raid Shadow Legends. I just switched off of Raid Shadow Legends because I got everything working on my auto clickers and or my free multi-battles that Raid provides to me. So I don't know if I labeled myself as streaming Raid Shadow Legends or if I labeled myself as just chatting today, but sorry, man. Either way, we're into Apex now, because everything's on multi-battles, trying to use up that free energy that they give me before I start spending gems on some energy. Luke, over there on... Oh, yeah, by the way, also to... I have no idea how to say your name. The dude over there on Twitch. I am also streaming to YouTube, so that is who I'm talking to. So, Luke, I thought you were online, dude. Where are you? Where is you, my dude? PP speaking more French. PP, I'm glad you're practicing your French, my dude. But again, I don't speak French. So yeah. I'll give it a shot, but something about not liking French? Is that what you're saying? About French being a dead language again? Is that what you're kind of what you're talking about here? I don't know. Anyways, all right, well, I thought Luke was supposed to be coming to join me, but I don't see him. So funny, I can't stand people talking in French. Or wait, I can't stand people talking in French than people writing in French. Okay, so you like seeing people write French rather than people speak French. I think that might be with how you're learning it. So I wasn't trying to learn French, but living in Canada around people that would speak French to me most of the time because they were being jerks. That's the way I started to learn French, was through people speaking it to me, and you're learning it usually whenever they teach you a language, you start out by writing it. So that's probably why you prefer it. Okay, Luke. I'm not seeing you, Luke. Where are you? Where are you, my dude? Where are you? Should I just ready up without him? I'm readying up without him. I'm doing it. I'm going in. Going in, boys. I'm going in. Put on the headset. Listen to the music that you guys have been listening to for a few minutes. This beat's not too bad. Switched over to Apex, and Luke's not even here whenever I switched. Come on, Luke. Where are you? He might have jumped into a game. He'll probably be back once that game's over. Man, my hands have been so dry today, too. I don't know what's going on. Clipper, he debated you. I don't know. Either way, we'll play a game. I mean, like I said, it's a chill stream, so I was planning on playing Raid, Apex, and maybe even some Hearthstone. It's kind of just one of those streams where I'm just kind of jump around to what I want. But you know, we'll play a game or two of Apex. If by the time we've played a game or two of Apex, Luke's still not here, we'll jump back over to Raid. And I mean, check some stuff anyways. We're probably gonna have to jump back over to Raid, even if Luke does come, so that way we can check some stuff. So we're gonna be jumping back to Apex, or we're gonna be jumping back off of Apex to Raid here in not too long, anyways. So yeah. I mean, we've got a Loba on our team, so. Hey, Wendy, we don't want to hear your ad.
Well, we got to get the record straight, Wendy.
Stop it, Wendy.
Dr. Anthony Fauci. My mum calls your followers like Faucionistas. And he told us that in 4 decades of work, this coronavirus has been a real curveball.
I've never seen anything closely resemble this virus.
Tap now to listen on Spotify. Back to you soon.
Yeah, you've never seen anything close to this because a what is it? A immunologist or a guy who studied his diseases basically said that, you know, this disease mutated in a way that shouldn't be possible, almost suggesting that it was manipulated in a lab. So, not saying that it was, but saying that I don't think anyone went Overlook. Okay, well, you want to push that and take that risk? So I don't think that's the best idea. Okay, they want to go. Sniper ammo, but no sniper. We're going Overlook, so. Also use two different, wait. Also, I never knew you spent almost 12 hours in CSGO. I thought you played at least 2 hours at most. I also used two different accounts. Oh, okay, so that's why you didn't know. Nah, I played about 12 hours, you know, doing a bunch of different stuff. I'm not, like, there's a reason why I'm not bad at it. I've played a little bit. I haven't played nearly as much as you have, but I played a little bit. Like, 12 hours of gameplay is not long for me, as far as, like, time played in a game. Ooh. Yeah, I think we're gonna go there. I'm tempted to pick up that. You know what? We'll pick up that Hemlock. We'll pick that up. We'll go Hemlock G7. Oop. Oop. You know what would have been great is to do that when we were close to the vault so you could actually get something good. That would have been probably the better time to do that. Just saying. Bang, bang. And then we're going to go with picking up all the heavy ammo in the area. We can't really just change a... we can't really just change a virus to make it worse. If we could, bad people with good educations could have wiped out the planet. With the common cold already, still no cure, perfect weapon. Yeah, no, that's what they tried to do with coronavirus. Coronavirus, look up the common cold. It is a coronavirus. That's what they tried to do with coronavirus. The only reason why we have a vaccine that works is because we created a new type of vaccine. There's never been a mRNA vaccine ever in history. We created a new vaccine specifically to try and cure this. So that's what the vaccine is. It's an mRNA vaccine, of which we've never had before. The other thing is that, yes, we can just manipulate it. The thing is so what he's pointing to, and the reason why he says it looks like it's been manipulated, is because almost every vaccine, or every disease, starts out in animals. The way it eventually mutates to where it's spreading from human to human is that an animal gives it to a human. After it's been given to a human multiple times, eventually that disease starts to mutate. The thing is that mutation process takes years upon years. Think about it like how we started getting diseases from farm animals. That's because we were in contacts with those farm animals for decades. So eventually we started to develop diseases that we got spread from human to human from having farm animals. The problem is with this disease is that you should be able to find that link where it started to mutate from being animal to human to human to human. That's a mutation that has to happen. Problem is that they can't find evidence of that mutation. It goes straight from being animal to human to human to human. There's no mutation period. And there's no, like, legitimately, the scientist that I'm referencing when I'm talking about this scientist says that's never happened before in history. So either this is some crazy new disease that has never been seen before in history, which is very unlikely because it would mean that this thing is going to mutate in a way, or has mutated in a way that nothing else ever in history has. or it was mutated by humans. So yeah, that's his explanation. His last name is Weinstein, I believe. He's an immunologist. So yeah, we do have the ability to mutate things. I mean, think about it this way. We have the careful going for the care package. Think about it this way. We have the ability to clone humans and manipulate genes in humans. How easy is it to do it to humans? It's not easy at all. So we can definitely do it to viruses. So yeah, anyways. Let's see. Death box over there. Ooh, a vault. I'm tempted by the vault, but I'm not gonna pick it up. How did he scan me all the way over here? Yep. We're gonna pause the music right quick, so that way I can hear. Oh geez, that stopped me from healing. We're gonna pause that right quick though, so I can actually figure out where these guys are to shoot them. Oh geez, that hit me? I didn't expect that to be able to hit me. Don't want to fight them here. Oh geez. Well, I'm dead. That's great. I didn't expect. I saw them shooting at her, and I thought that would have deterred her, but nope. She wanted to chase me. All right, well. We get to watch these guys play Apex while I read comments. That's what we get to do now. But yeah. It would be the perfect weapon. Like I said, this is a variant of a common cold. So yeah. 180 hours feels long for me, LOL. Like I'm saying, 12 hours doesn't feel long at all for me. I didn't play it much and so again, to me, 12 hours isn't much. Viruses typically mutate more frequently compared to other pathogens. Yes, but there is still a time period. It still takes, like, they mutate quickly. So once a virus has mutated to the point where it spreads from human to human, then it can mutate really fast because there's a lot of humans living in a lot of different areas. That's why they mutate so fast. But that still took months for it to mutate from what it was to, no, you can't get me. How do I type? I don't know how to type. Enter, right? Enter. You can't get me. Oh, geez. Me. Oh, okay. It spawned out anyways, so never mind. I was gonna try and tell them, but they couldn't get me anyways. But yes, it took months for it to mutate once it can mutate from human to human. The problem is you're mutating to infect other species, and that mutation takes a long time and several infections. And the problem is we can't find that. So anyways, we can manipulate it, yes, but lifting a water bottle is manipulating a water bottle. We can't just select or set a specific trait for the disease. For example, you can't make it more deadly by manipulating its genes. As such, you could make it turn your skin purple. Genetics are extremely difficult to understand. Yes, and that's what they did. There's a reason why not that many people are dying from the coronavirus. It was already a slightly more deadly disease to begin with. What was manipulated about it was that we took it and made it to where it could infect humans. Or what we believe was manipulated about it is to where we made it to where it could infect and be more easily spread among humans. We didn't change how deadly it was. We didn't really, we can't see that it was really changed in a way to where it was more deadly. It wasn't really, as far as we can tell, changed to be much more contagious, but it was changed to be slightly more contagious and changed to where it can infect human to human. That's what was supposedly changed about it, at least as far as scientists can tell. But yeah, it does look like it was manipulated. Yes, we can't manipulate it as well as we want to, but that's part of the reason why the lab that it came from, supposedly came from, was studying this stuff. So, virus genetics are quite understandable as well, as far as I've heard. Yes, because you're not actually, whenever you manipulate a virus, you're not manipulating the whole of the virus. Whenever you're manipulating a virus, you're manipulating, so like, this gets really complicated to explain, but basically you're not, whenever you're manipulating a virus to infect people differently than it currently does, you're not actually manipulating the virus, you're manipulating, oh, this is bad. You're manipulating what the virus is trying to do, not what the virus is itself, basically, is like the easiest way to explain it without getting overly complicated when it comes to DNA, RNA, and all that kind of stuff. You're not actually having to change the virus. But yeah. Anyways. You can't just say, I want this game to do this thing and just do it. Oh, you can't have, oh, sorry. This gene to do this thing and just do it. Yeah, I know. Believe me, I've studied a lot of anatomy and physiology and a lot of science. I know it's very complicated, but I'm saying is that the lab that we supposedly think this alteration happened from is a lab that is specifically doing this kind of work. Like, that's what they're doing, is they're studying gene manipulation in viruses. So if that's what they're doing at that lab, that's where it appears that this disease came from, and there's no evidence to a mutation. They're studying mutations, trying to implement mutations. It appears to have come from there, and we have no evidence of the genetic mutation happening naturally. We can't find it happening naturally. That says, that's a lot of evidence to point towards this looks like it came from a lab. I'm surprised these guys haven't died yet. They've been in a lot of really bad situations that I would think they would have died in. But yeah. If we had the ability to just make genes do whatever we wanted, cancer would not be a thing. Okay, so they are working on that. I guess I should tell you. They are working on that. The reason why they haven't yet is because the reason why cancer is a thing is the same way we age. So the way cancer becomes a thing naturally in the body, if you're genetically predisposed, not from, even actually sometimes from mutations, it's the same case. But the way cancer happens is that it's a defect in your cells dividing. Cells dividing is partially how our body repairs itself. So for instance, whenever you get a cut in your skin, the only way to heal that cut is for your cells to divide, get rid of the bad cells, and replace them with new ones. The way that you replace them with new ones is they divide and repair themselves. The problem is with cancer is that it's a defect in your cells telling them to divide and reproduce in the wrong way. That's like a generic overview of what cancer is doing, especially whenever you're talking about tumors. The problem is that if we found a way to stop cancer, that we would have to technically stop aging, which would also then stop your body from being able to heal itself. That's the only way we can figure out right now through gene editing to stop cancer. The other thing is, though, is that they're looking at two things when it comes to this, is not only looking at this as a way to cure cancer, but they're also looking at this as a way to stop aging. So there is a lot of research being done to this. The problem is, like I said, is that anything that they would try that would actually work in stopping cancer would basically result in you getting a cut and dying and your body never being able to heal itself unless you selectively target those cells and make them heal. But we don't have that level of technology either. So it's a long process, but there are a lot of scientists right now thinking that through this cancer research, we might be on the cusp of being able to live for basically an infinite amount of time, aside from injury and, you know, murder and those kinds of things. which is something you should actually look into, is cancer being the cure to aging. That chain of words would probably come up with a pretty good video for you to watch about it. But there's a lot of research being done to it. So yes, we can't do it right now, but that's what we're researching. Anyways, would not be a thing. You can't program it like a computer. Exactly. That's why we're experimenting. That's why we're taking genes and, you know, isolating them and manipulating them and then seeing what happens. It's going to take a lot of time, but what I'm saying is a virus is way easier than human DNA. And B, that's what they were actively doing at those labs. Doing it on the genomes is not exactly on the genes. Yeah. I'm just going to be really finicky about your choice of words here. Okay, so if you're choosing to be finicky about my choice of words, that means you accept the fact that what I'm saying is mostly right. I just didn't say it exactly the way I should have said it. Got it. Because it's confusing me. You're discussing a lab as a thing that... You're discussing a lab as a thing that's factual, but that it's a theory. In words specifically that wait, what do you mean? I don't understand what you mean here. That's why we think it's from a lab, but also the lab we think it came from is specifically doing this work already. Yeah, they're specifically doing... So they're working on this. We have evidence and reports that show that they're working on this, but just because they're working... Oh, now he died. He's dead here. Just because we have... So... We have reports that they're working on something. For instance, you have a report that I'm working on building a home, right? But until you actually see the home, you can't... So, here's the thing. You have evidence that I was working on a home. You don't know where that home was. You don't know what that home's supposed to look like. You know nothing about the home. You just have evidence that I'm working on a home, right? Then, you travel to a place and see near me... You travel to a place near me and see this home's here that wasn't here before. Well, Klepper said he was working on a home. Is this him? You have no proof, but this home that wasn't there before is now here, and I told you I was working on a home, or working on possibly building a home. Just because we have evidence that they're working on something, and now we have a result that looks like something they would have been doing, doesn't mean it directly came from there. That's the problem, is we don't have proof that it came from there. But they were working on something similar to it, and something similar to it happened. That's what I'm saying. You don't have proof that, in the home example, you don't have proof that I built the home. That home just seemed to appear to have come out of nowhere, and I said I was working on a home. But you can't prove I did it. I built it. Because there's no video evidence, and I'm not admitting to it. You get what I'm saying? That's kind of the example that I'm trying to give. That's why you and the thing is that you can only say so much. And the reason why I have to say it in that way is because if I say it in an accusational way, because we don't actually have proof, that can get me in trouble. That's why whenever you accuse somebody, not accuse somebody, but that's why whenever you say, this guy committed this crime, that's why you have to legally preface that by saying allegedly committed that crime. Because it's not been proved in court yet. That's the reason why I have to say it in that way. I can't say definitively this happened because A, we can't find the proof, and B, it's not legally been established in court. So therefore, you have to say things like allegedly or possibly. That's why you have to say it like that. But yeah, anyways. Being finicky does absolutely not admit I think you're right. Well, then you would be critiquing what you think I'm wrong about, not just the way I'm saying it. That's my point. It's saying I'm confused about your words and how you're asking, and I'm asking for clarification. But if you knew nothing about the home, how would you have evidence? You do know things about the home. You know that it wasn't there before. We know that this disease has no precursor to it being able to transmit human to human. You know that the disease was able to spread from animal to human. You know that I was trying to build a house. Now the house is here, but you have no evidence of me building that house. You have no evidence of it being built. It just magically appeared as far as we can tell. That house wasn't... You didn't see the house in the process of getting built. You just now see a house, and you know that I was working on something similar to that. That's why I'm trying to use this house example, because it's the best thing I can come up with on the fly. But you get what I'm saying? Like, you don't have evidence of the house being built. The house just appeared. I suck. Got her.
We just eliminated the whole squad. Exciting.
Bro, I saw you try and come up behind me like that, Wraith. I saw you try and steal that from me.
Using grapple.
Okay, so let's go ahead and heal up right quick. But if you know nothing about that home, how would you have evidence? Like I said, you do know something about that home. You know that that home was not there before. That's your knowledge. You know that that disease was not able to be transmitted from human to human yet. That's also, wait, okay, 1 second. I'm gonna have to back up my team here. They're pushing into another fight. Ouch. Woo. Dang it. Got shot by the red. Okay. You have, how would, wait. Okay. But if you know nothing about the home, how would you have evidence? Exactly. That's my point. You know very little about the home. You just know that it wasn't there before. Now it's magically there. And you know that I was working on a home. But you don't know I made the home. You don't know how it got built because you never saw it in the process of being built. It just magically was now a home. Because the home is because homes are easy to make. But that's the point. I'm not saying that it's as easy as building a home. I'm saying that, you know, one guy building a house takes a long time. I'm saying that, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say, like, a home can't just magically be built in a day by one guy is kind of my point. That's why I'm saying I'm building a home, not I'm hiring people to build a home. I'm saying I'm making the home in this example. Anyways, I have to come, are easy to make and have to come from a make. Have to come from a make. I don't know what you mean by that. So that makes sense in that contest. But genetics are not. Okay. See, I don't know what you mean by because homes are easy to wait. Okay, chat jumped. Because homes are easy to make and have to come from a make. I don't know what you mean. Like they have to be made from somewhere. And yes, that virus was made or the precursor. So basically, like there were no supplies there. The supplies had to come from somewhere. Yes, the wood did come from somewhere. The roofing tiles, the shingles did come from somewhere. The insulation did come from somewhere, but it wasn't there. Now all of a sudden it's there in in-house form versus, and like the precursor to the disease is the version that would have spread from animals to humans. Anyways. Okay. So again, that whole line just doesn't make sense to me because homes are easy to make and have to come from a make. I don't know what you mean by that. So that makes sense in that context. Okay, sure. But genetics are not. Okay, so I feel like that sentence is where I'm not understanding what you're saying. But anyways, it would be more akin to saying you return to your absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous painting in your house. Okay, it'd be more akin to saying you return to this absolutely gorgeous painting in your house and no one was in the house, but you gave your child markers before you left from work. Before you left from work, the painting is not made of markers, made of acrylic. No, but that's the thing, though, is that whenever we're not changing, actually, that's not even a way to say it. When we manipulate is probably the best way to say it. a virus, it won't show evidence of manipulation, especially if we're trying to mimic manipulation that would happen naturally over time. It's not gonna appear manipulated. Like, you can't just pull out a coronavirus, actual individual virus itself, and see that it was manipulated. Because the thing is A, it's gonna look natural because that's the goal. B, it's gonna look natural because you're not pulling out the original. It would be like in the house situation, it would be like I built a house and now there's 50,000 houses that came out of nowhere. And now you're looking at a house 50,000 down the line, not the original. So that's the other thing, is that it's kind of like, it's like a stone in water, right? You can carve a stone and make it look how you want and do what you want, which is to make it look the way it is. Once you put it in water and leave it there in a creek for months, eventually there's going to be some erosion that happens and it's going to look more smooth and more like all the other stones in the river. You get what I'm saying? As this has been spread from human to human over and over and over again, not only is it going to be mutating, but it's going to be mutating in ways that are going to make it look even more natural. If that makes any sense. Anyways, the painting is not made of markers, made of acrylic, and saying it must be the baby because the baby was being artistic when I left the house. Huh? It may have no idea and no markers, but he was coloring. I don't understand your I don't understand your scenario that you're bringing up here. So basically, you would know that the virus was not a human-to-human virus because there was no infection ever recorded from human to human in the past. Exactly, there isn't. Now because of, I have no idea what that word is. I'm trying here. Zoonotic shift. Oh, okay, like zoonotic shift. Okay, got it. People, now a new strain of the virus has shifted to humans due to mutation in the genes. So basically, you know that the virus was not human to human. Yes, exactly. We do know that. Because there was no infection ever recorded from human to human. Exactly. In the past. Now, because the problem is, though, is that we have very, very few cases of it even being animal to human. So that would have to happen numerous times before we'd ever have anything close to being human to human. And it just magically became human to human, is what it looks like. If it wasn't manipulated in a lab, it looks like it was almost as if it was magic. Either it was magic, it was lab altered, or it mutated faster than anything we've ever seen in human history. Which would mean it's like no other virus ever. And most things in life that we've ever come in contact with are not very different than anything else. So it would be very strange that this mutated that insanely fast with no record. Because if it mutated, even if it mutated insanely fast based off of, and again, I have a very low level of knowledge when it comes to virology. I just know a little bit from what I've looked into, but what they're saying is basically that there would be several thousand records of this thing mutating from what it was to being able to be spread human to human. There would be several thousand instances that we would be able to find because that's the way most viruses work. But we found zero. Not one, not two, not five, not a handful. Literally zero. That's the point that's suspicious to most virologists that are looking into this. That's the point, is that there's zero. It just basically went from 0 cases to now we have this new disease. So again, either it's something we've never seen before, it's magic, or it was lab altered. That's what a lot of virologists that are looking into the coronavirus are saying. Now, yes, this thing does mutate insanely quickly, but still, even if it mutated insanely quickly, we would be able to find 5 cases. We would be able to find maybe not the thousands that we would normally find, but at least 100. We found 0. We can find no cases of this thing actually mutating until it's been mutating the way it's mutating now, which is because we've got hundreds of thousands of people getting the thing. But anyways, possibly now a new strain of the virus has shifted to humans due to a mutation in its genes. Is that what you meant? Something similar, I guess. Oh wait, that was PP talking. Anyways, come from a marker. I don't. Okay. Anyways, the new strain of COVID-19, made by older strains of corona like SARS, due to possibly mutations, possibly. The problem is that we can track where this came from as far as, so like if you look at the cold virus, if you look at a flu virus, there's a reason why we can track where it came from, because they all have different markers. So for instance, like swine flu, we can track that it came from pigs. Bird flu, we can track that it came from chickens, those kinds of things. We can track that where this disease came from, what species of animal this originally came from. From what I've been told or what I've read, the reason why we can track it is because a lot of the times the animal that it comes from, it's manipulated, or it's not manipulated. It has mutated over generations and generations of existing in this animal to have markers to allow it to spread more easily in these animals. So for instance, like salmonella, it easily spreads. Not salmonella is really not a good example, but for instance, swine flu, it's mutated to be easily transmitted in pigs. The reason why we know it came from pigs is because we can see that. We know that this came from an animal, but yet the new variant of it we can track where this came from is basically all I'm saying. It's basically all I'm saying. We can track where this thing came from. As far as what animal it originally came from. But yeah. Like SARS, due to possible mutations, possibly. Why did I repeat 2 words in one sentence? LMA. I don't know. Hey man, it is what it is. Zoonotic shift. When a pathogen shifts from one species to another. Yes. Okay. I didn't know there was that simple of a phrase for it. Zoonotic shift. Got it. So basically, if there was a very sophisticated and fancy house design in the area, if no if no one was made and the place was empty, land and location, so every house there was designed exactly the same. So like if you built a housing development, that one fancy aesthetic designed house. Yeah, I mean, that would be a good way to say it, is it stands out. But this doesn't really stand out necessarily because of COVID-19 itself. The thing that stands out about it is that we can't find that design, we can't find the house being made is kind of the thing that stands out about it, I guess. This got into discussion time way earlier than normal, but I feel like this trend is going to continue. Luke's not here, so I'm going to go ahead and exit out of Apex Legends and get back to Raid Shadow Legends. So yeah, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and do this. Actually, I feel like the music is too distracting right now for me. All right, so we're going to go back here. This is done. This is done. We still have some energy, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of these. We're going to go not here, here. We're going to go here, here, and here, and bang. Okay. This has never happened before. I understand that there is no actual evidence of this and that it would be impossible to do. But that lab works on genes, so it must be them. Yeah, that's pretty close to what I'm saying. That's not exactly what I'm saying, but that's pretty close to what I'm saying. Again, they're working on stuff like this. They're trying to do things like this. It's never happened before. It's never happened to the extent that most virologists are saying. Either this is something that we've absolutely never seen before, And based off of how fast it's mutating right now, which is that now I believe we have 3 strains of COVID. Based off of how long it's mutating right now, it's a fast mutator. It is a faster than average mutator, but it's not that fast. So again, this is either magic, something that we've never seen before, which it's appearing that it's not based off of what we can see from the disease now, or it was manipulated. So that's what a lot of virologists are saying. A lot of virologists that can speak, because a lot of virologists that are saying this get banned. So it wouldn't surprise me if I get in trouble for actually talking about this much. But it is what it is. If this is the day that my channel gets banned, you know, it is what it is. So it must be them. Again, I'm not saying it must be them. I'm just saying it's weird. And either, again, it's something we've never seen before, which the evidence points to otherwise, or it was them, or it was magic. Like, magic is about as good of an explanation as you're going to get, other than this is something we've never seen before, which, again, we can point to how fast it's mutating now that it is released among the population and see that it's not something that we've never seen before. It is fast. It is very fast, but it's not that fast. So magic or them. That's basically what it's boiled down to. That this has never happened before. Understand that there is no actual. Must be them. If you take a cell phone to deep African tribe, they would call it magic too. Yeah. And the thing is that this is a secret lab, a top secret laboratory. First of all, it's a different country than our own, so obviously they're going to hold their secrets tightly. Secondly, even among the Chinese government, it's a top secret lab. So it's a lab that even if you're in their government, which obviously we're not, if you were in their government, unless you need to know, you're not going to know. That's the kind of level of stuff they were working on there. So, A, people in their own government don't know. B, we're not in their government, so we're definitely not going to know. So that's 2 reasons for us not to know. The third reason for us not to know is because if we could ever actually prove that it came from this lab, which is going to be extremely hard to do because China doesn't cooperate with anybody, but if anybody could ever actually prove 100% for sure that it came from this lab, then that would be an act of war. They released a virus among global populations that has killed tons and tons of people. That would be an act of war. So that's why we'll never find out if it truly did come from this lab. It's gonna be covered up as much as possible. And due to the fact that it's a communist dictatorship, it's gonna be pretty easy for them to cover it up because nobody can ask any questions. Because if you ask the wrong questions, you get disappeared, is the best way to say it. You get gone. That's how that works. So, all right. So this is my new, so earlier in the stream, I was talking about a new clan boss team. I revamped this entire clan boss team. So instead of having to go to turn 9, this is my new clan boss setup, which is awesome because it's way simpler than the last one. I use his A3 here. I use this guy's A2, then his A1 to attack. Then we go to here. We do this ability, which cools down this guy's skill and this guy's skill because they're the only 2 that have gone so far. This guy, we want to delay him, so we want him not to use his A3. This guy doesn't matter. This guy is turn 1, so this is our second turn of actually manipulating guys. This guy, it doesn't matter which ability he does here. This guy, it doesn't really matter, but we're going to have him do this. This guy, now we have to force her to do this. Now that she's done this, we're good to click auto. So there we go. Now we're set up for unkillable. We'll come back here in about 15 minutes, and this will be on turn 50, and we'll have our damage numbers. So now we're going to switch back to this one. This one is done, and we are out of energy on this account. So let's go here. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna look at what I need to be doing here. Is there anything I need to do on this account right now? If not, we'll just watch Clan Boss and continue to talk. I don't think there's anything I have to do on this account. Because I don't think there's anything I have to do on this account, we're going to actually close this and just watch Clan Boss, and I'm going to continue to talk. I'm also going to take this out because it keeps bumping the mic. Okay. if you take it over. Now when a random random person would or who could be super rich move there. Random mutation here. Okay, so you're saying like if you moved to China. And that's actually a good example because there's a lot of diseases that local populations, for instance, what is it? Yellow fever? I believe yellow fever, if you leave, if you go to certain South American countries, you actually have to get, like hepatitis, and you have to get all these vaccines when you travel outside of a country, because there's certain diseases that your country is either immune to, like, for instance, we're not immune to hepatitis because it doesn't exist in America, but if you go to, say, Mexico, they do have hepatitis there, so you actually have to get a vaccine because otherwise you might get it because they've got it all the time, so they've relatively got herd immunity. But if you're traveling all over the place, you're more likely to come across it. So not only are you a traveler and you're not immune because it doesn't exist in your population, but yeah, good example. Anyways, continuing on, saying he's a random mutation, would refurbish this house to an even more modern place, with like really glamorous furniture and whatnot. So you're basically saying you are the random mutation. You moved in and randomly made this house. The problem is with that example is, like I'm saying, there's no renovation. It doesn't even look like the home's been renovated. The home is just magically brand new the second you moved in. And they're like, well, how did this happen? It just happened instantaneously. We have no evidence of it ever being renovated other than we know it didn't look like this before. That would be probably the closest example. Just because we don't understand it doesn't mean someone does. What I'm saying is that I definitely am not claiming to understand it. I'm just saying that if you look at the top virologists that we have in this country, in America, not in Canada, because I know you live in Canada, in this country, the top virologists in this country don't understand it. So, yeah. And what do they say? What is the saying from Thor Ragnarok? Magic is just science that's so advanced that people don't understand it, or so advanced that it's not actually magic. It's just science that's so advanced it looks like magic. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. And for science to be that advanced, that science would have to be happening somewhere. There just so happens to be a lab that's top secret that is doing that exact same type of science in the area. That's the whole point. And I don't claim to understand most of it. I'm just saying that top virologists in our country don't understand it. So, and what they're saying is that either this is so different, either it's so different, it's the first of its kind ever in all of human history, or it was manipulated in the lab that does this kind of thing, or is trying to do this kind of thing, I guess is the better way to say it, that is trying to do this kind of thing in the exact same area where this spread from. So yeah. If even the top of the top scientists can't understand it 100%, and neither can we. Yeah, that's PP's great explanation here. 100%, then neither can we. Best we can do is make theories. I'm not even making a theory. That's the thing. I'm not trying to defend this theory because I'm making this theory. I'm just telling you what I read. This is a theory from a top virologist. This is not a theory I'm making. This is just a well-read proposal of his theory that he wrote down. So yeah, that's the thing. This isn't my theory. This is his theory. So I'm not making the theory here. I'm just trying to recite his theory that he said. There are a trillion unanswered questions in the universe. Are there? Or are there trillions of questions that our human minds have come up with to seek answers for that may or may not exist because we are the ones creating the question? That's getting more into philosophy, though. There may be a lot of unanswered questions because we're the ones making the questions. And the thing is the question that we make can be made off of a false assumption. So we make a question because we think this is the path to find an answer. Problem is that that's not even a path. That's just, an anomaly. Then that whole question is completely wrong. You get what I'm saying? That gets into a whole other conversation. But yes, there are a bunch of unanswered questions in the universe, but there are also things that we're the one creating questions. We're not observing, a lot of the times the questions that we're coming up with that are unanswered are because we observe something and we force it into being a question. We can't say, oh, what's the simple answer? We have to say, oh, well, that doesn't look like the simple answer, so it can't be the simple answer. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like this when it comes to this whole theory that it was not altered in a lab. The simplest answer is that it was made in the lab. That's the simplest answer. That's why they're saying that that's what they think, is because that's the simplest answer. It's simpler than something we've never seen before. That's why that's the accusation. But again, it's going to be covered up, because if it ever comes out and there's ever definitive proof that it came from that lab, that would be incitement of war. So that'll never, I don't think it'll ever happen. I don't think even our own government, as in the US government or any government, wants that to happen, because then the citizens would demand war because you killed their grandma. You get what I'm saying? Anyways, yeah, when I talked about the more modern version of the house, I was referring to the new COVID. The rest was the older strains, and yes, it was also hitting out that now there's so many strains out there. Yeah, again, this thing mutates really fast, but it doesn't mutate that fast. Do not know for sure where it comes from. Yeah. But you just said either that it was edited to be this way. Not edited, it was mutated. It was guided mutation would probably be a better way. Like, that would be a decent way of saying it. Guided mutation would probably be a decent way of saying it. That's the proposed theory. Anyways. Edited to be this way. They would make the edits untraceable, but that there's evidence suggesting that it's not natural. How? Because the evidence that it's not natural is that it went from, think about it this way, like your computer. You're downloading a file. The file is 10%, right? The file is actually probably a better representation would be the file's at 1%. Well, pretend you have a wealth of knowledge and you know every single action the computer has to do to go from 1% to 100%. But you've got the file at 1% and you're looking for the next step, right? You're looking for the step that the action the computer needs to take to go from 1% to 2%. The problem is that step's not there and it just magically went to 100%. And you look through all the computer processes and you see 2%, that step wasn't done. Step 3% wasn't done. All the way up to step 99%. None of those steps were done, yet it's just magically done and completed. That would be probably the way to say it. So there's no evidence of how it went from 1 to 100%, but the fact that it did go from 1 to 100% and there is no evidence is the thing that's pointing to the fact. That's the evidence is that there is no evidence. Is that a better way of explaining it? The evidence is there is no evidence. Anyways, somebody over there on Twitch, what's going on? Lurk, what's good? I'm new to Raid. Raid is a very fun game. It is very money hungry, and the problem is you can play the game free to play, and I would actually recommend playing the game free to play. The problem is that once you start spending money, Raid is very, very finely tuned to once you start spending money, and it's very easy to want to start spending money. Once you start spending money, the whole game kind of becomes out of whack to where you need to spend money in all these other areas. So I would recommend being free to play. Also, I am streaming to Twitch and YouTube, so the people that I'm talking to are over there on YouTube, just so you know. Do you know a good beginner team for beginners? YouTube made me want to play Raid. A good team for beginners is you probably ideally want to start with Kale. This is the ideal situation. Doesn't mean you have to start with Kale. You probably want to start with Kale. And you want to get his masteries done, which you have to farm in the Minotaur, which is a dungeon. And you want to get him max level. So you want to get him max level and his masteries done as fast as possible. Hold on to any of the purple, the epics. Hold on to any epic that you get. Some people would recommend that you hold on to all the rares you get. what I would do is I would look up Chosen, Chofly Mobile over on YouTube, or there's a guy called Hail Hades. These guys, they have a champion tier list, and I would look through that. Any rare that makes it on their tier list, at least with Chosen's I have a little bit more expertise with. Chosen's tier list, if there's a rare on that tier list, it's an insanely good rare. Those are the only rares I would recommend you actually working on. It gets a little bit more complicated from there. There are certain rares you shouldn't work on based off of other characters you get, but there's no guarantees you're going to get them. Basically what I'm saying is the simple answer is work on your starter and look at a tier list and work on any high tier champions you get would be like the simple answer as you start to try and figure out how this game works, my man. I chose the mage for a starter. So yeah, so there's the guy with the axes, which is Gaelic. There's the girl with the bow, which is Elaine. There's the girl with the staff and the white hair, which is Aethel. And then there's Kayle. Kayle is the mage. So I'm assuming you picked the right starter. Not necessarily the right starter, but probably the most optimal starter. But yeah, so just work on him. I'd say before you get rid of any of the rares, any of the other characters at his same rarity, before you get rid of any of those rares, I would check them on that tier list, see if they're good or not. If they're not good, if they're not on Chosen's tier list, they're probably good for you to use as food for your starter so you can get him more powerful quicker. So yeah, I'm going to go back to referencing what we were talking about to the guys on YouTube, because we were in the middle of a rather crazy discussion here. Gaelic, yes, that's his pronunciation. These characters, this game is not an English game. It is originally made in, oh man, what country is this game made in? It's made by a bunch of people that their first language is not English. So that is my best American butchered version of how they pronounce his name in their country. It does not mean what you're implying it means there, PP. All right. Okay, so yeah, back to what you were talking about though, Wimley. The evidence is the fact that there is no evidence. And there is evidence for every other single one in history. That's how that works. Oh geez, where am I? If we would know 100% where it came from, hypothetically, from a lab or and breached, it would make the claim that the virus breached the lab, but it's not even in the news because of that, because we don't know. Again, yeah, again, I don't think it will ever come out because it would be an act of war. If we could prove, then it would be an act of war. If it's from a lab or if was a zoonotic shift. The problem is there's no evidence of it being a zoonotic shift. And if they did, if they did it intentionally, then there would be many accusations from countries, and it would be on the news everywhere. Yeah, again, that's why it's being covered up so well. But if it didn't, and it hypothetically was from a lab, and it lab was done intentionally or was done. See, I'm not saying it escaped from the lab intentionally. I'm just saying that it mutated there. I'm not saying that there was intention. I'm not attributing intent. I'm just saying that a lot of scientists are pointing to this being the thing. As well as if it even was from an animal naturally. We can prove that it did originally come from bats. We can prove that. That is the animal it is derived from. The same way we can prove swine flu came from pigs. You know what I'm saying? Do you think that it is even possible at all? Do you think that it is even possible at all that there even could be a reality where we could have a global pandemic and it not be blamed on someone? Yeah, because it happens a lot in the past. But we can also look at all those pandemics in the past and see where they came from. and see how it mutated naturally. You can say this is the first person where it started. The problem is we can't even say this is the first person where it started with this disease because it's being covered up. That's the point. You can look through, again, with the computer analogy, you can look through and see steps 1 through 100 with every other pandemic. Maybe it's missing 1 or 2 steps here and there. Problem is this one's missing step 2 to 99. That's the problem with this one. This one is being covered up, and covered up well enough to where we can't find anything. So that's the point. But yeah, I mean, I'm not blaming. I mean, you can blame smallpox on Americans coming over from another country, but that's still not one person's fault. That's America's fault, or that's not America's fault. That's Britain's fault and Americans' fault. But that's a European thing. Like, there are some diseases that do have blame for good reason, but a lot of them don't. But this one just happens to the same way smallpox does. That's my point. Do you think that it's not be blamed on someone? Yeah, and I think most diseases aren't blamed on people. There's a good few of them that aren't. They say, hey, it came from here. Actually, I don't know. It does seem like a lot of them do get blamed on some other country for good reason. This one just happens to get being blamed on China for what appears to be good reason, but we don't have any proof. So, I don't know. So is there a way you can know really? There is no way we can know really. Our specialists can tell for sure, or can't tell for sure either. We don't even have a lot of evidence to base the calculations either. Yeah, because it's being covered up. There's a lot of information that's not getting out. And will it never get out? I think it's possible that it'll come out. Anytime there's people involved, cracks form. Things will happen. There's a chance that we'll find something eventually. I'm just saying it's being held pretty tight right now. The issue is you cannot prove a negative. Yeah. You can't prove to me you're not kissing your cousin. You can't prove to me that you aren't killing cats. So, to make the claim, someone will believe it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's a valid point. I can't prove to you something doesn't exist. Well, I can prove to you something doesn't exist by pointing to scientists that say, we've done all the research, it doesn't exist. But if that's evidence you don't want to accept, then that is what it is. Yeah, so yeah, I can't prove to you something isn't happening without you doing research into it and saying, yeah, the scientist says this isn't happening. So yeah, yeah. If the Chinese government is trying to make something look like it doesn't exist, then it's going to be hard to find and prove that something that they're saying doesn't exist does exist. Yeah. That's the ultimate issue with the argument. That's what I'm saying. There's no way you can prove it 100% without evidence. The evidence is that there is no evidence. That's the point. Like if you said, hey, we think it came from the lab, but we found, these 5 points, like the 1 to 100% with the computer program argument. If we can find step 1, step 50, step 75, step 60, and step 100, then that would be one thing. But we literally can't find anything other than step 1 and step 100. Can't find anything else. And that's the problem. And again, it just so happens to be happening in a place where they're trying to make these things happen. So yeah. And the cure requires something that was an extreme measure by some. Anyways, we're going to start up, use our second clan boss key. Bang. Bang. Is Spider good? Sorry it took me so long to get back to you, man. Fates of Otaku. Is Spider good? Yes, Spider is... Someone said no. Oh, Sniper. Is Sniper good? Sorry, Sniper. I'm dyslexic. Sorry, Otaku. I am dyslexic. Is Sniper good? I believe she's an uncommon. And if she is the uncommon, I think she is. She's not worth investing anything in. So if you need her... So the thing is there are a lot of characters in this game, Raid Shadow Legends, that are not good. But if you need them for a very specific situation, then they're good because you need them. So I would be tempted to say no, because I don't know that character right off the top of my head for sure which character that is. So I'm tempted to say no. But if there's an exact situation that you can see that you need her for, then she's good. I just wouldn't recommend maxing out any character that you're not 100% for sure serves a purpose. For instance, these two characters right here. These guys, their name are Maneater. You'll know them very well by late game. Their name is Maneater. Because I have two of them. That's why I'm saying their. Their name is Maneater. Did I do that right? I was kind of talking, so I wasn't really paying attention. I hope I set that up right. If not, I just wasted a key. Their name is Maneater. They have one use in this game, which is to be doing what I have them doing here. So if I was a brand new account, if I was starting brand new and I pulled this character, I have no use for him because I would need 3 other characters to make him good. So he's not good. He's not worth wasting resources on right now, but that doesn't mean he won't be good in the future. That's basically what I'm trying to say. There's characters that may or may not be useful. They're only good if you need them for what they're good for. So I'm tempted to say no, but if you need her, you need her. Then she's good. That's kind of my thoughts on the sniper thing. All right, back to YouTube comments. All right, back to YouTube comments. Of course, I had nothing to say today. LOL. This talk was saved the day, making it, an empty potential stream. Okay, so, how is that simpler? How is it not simpler? We have no evidence to anything else. The only evidence we have, again, we have 1 and 100. We have nothing in between. So, what else is surrounding it? Well, there just so happens to be a lab. We have no evidence of mutation. We have the beginning and the end result, no evidence of mutation, and there's a lab that just so happens to be trying to work on something similar to this. How is that not a simple explanation? It's a natural thing we haven't seen before. Yeah, that a lab is trying to produce right where this happened. That's my point. It's something that we've never seen before in nature. There's a lab that's trying to do that exact same thing in the area. So you're trying to produce this. It's never happened before in nature. We've never seen it before in nature. And you're trying to make this thing happen, and then it happens. You get what I'm saying? They're trying to make something happen. It just so happens to happen, and we can't find any result or any proof of change. That's kind of the point. Or it's a secret lab we know nothing about. We know generically what they're working on. That's it. We don't know. We know that they're working on virology. We don't know what viruses they're working on, what exactly they're doing. We just know that they're working on virology. A new virus happens, and there's no evidence of mutation. They're trying to make new viruses or trying to do something with viruses. There's no evidence of mutation. We just have the end result. That's kind of the simplified version. We know nothing. It's a secret lab we know nothing about. Doing science we know cannot be done. That's where you're wrong there. Not science we know cannot be done. They're doing science that we don't know how to do yet, and that we're speculating on how to do. And how, whenever you have a new theoretical branch of science, how do you improve upon that branch of science? By trying to do it. For instance, flight. We can propose all day and night how to fly. The way we actually get to flying is by starting to try and do it. We can propose gene altering all day and night as a form of science. The best way to do it is to actually try and do it. It's kind of like the doctor who genetically altered 2 twins to try and make them immune to cancer. A doctor in China has tried to do that. They're trying to do things that are considered inhumane everywhere else. But that's how the science is going to get pushed forward, is by people trying to do the things that we're hesitant to do. And that's what this lab is doing. So it's not You saying we know can't be done, that's not true. We think it can be done. We just don't know how to do it yet, and we think it would be inhumane to do it. But China has obviously done plenty of things in the past that everywhere else considered inhumane, but they don't care. So yeah, that's the part that's completely wrong. Science we know cannot be done. We think it can be done. We just haven't done it yet. So that is completely wrong. Maliciously without reason. Well, there would be reason if this is considered, if the Chinese government said, hey, we want you to start producing a viral weapon, that would be intent. And I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that even if they didn't, just them working on it would be, I'm not attributing any intent to this lab. I'm not even attributing any intent to the government itself. I'm not attributing any intent to anybody. I'm not saying it's malicious. I'm just saying that I'm saying that based off of the research that I've seen, what I'm saying is based off the research I've seen, it appears to be altered. Not maliciously, just altered. Again, they're just trying, the scientists themselves, especially the scientists, I put no blame on the scientists whatsoever. They're just trying to prove the theoretical science. They're trying to work on the cutting edge of science. So they're not doing maliciously. They're just doing it because that's a scientist. The scientists are curious. They want to do it. They don't want to do it to try and cause harm. They just want to do it to prove they can. That's the nature of scientists. So I'm not saying they did it maliciously. And so the reasoning for this happened, it could very well have happened entirely by mistake. It could have gotten out by mistake. I'm not saying it was malicious. I'm saying that it came from there. Whether it be malicious or not, the Chinese government should admit to it and say, yeah, it's our bad. But then if they're admitting to them working on something that the entirety of the rest of the world would consider inhumane and is not doing for a reason, that's why I'm saying it would be a problem. That's part of the reason why when that came out that doctor worked on those two twins, genetically altered these two twins, that's why when it came out and blew up. And because it blew up, originally it wasn't a problem. But once it blew up and the rest of the world said, wow, they're allowing that to happen in China, after that accusation got pointed at China, then they started condemning that scientist. They didn't condemn him until after the rest of the world found out. That's the point. They're willing to let them do things that the rest of the world is not okay with. For instance, genetically altering twins. How is that the simplest answer? Because either it's something we've never seen before, or it's the lab that is doing something similar. I mean, I don't know how to explain it any other way. The simplest answer is either it's something we've never seen before in all of human history, or the lab that's supposed to be doing this thing did this thing. That's like, I don't know any other way to explain it. You can influence it to go towards a change, however, with changes in the genome, is what I think Clipper might be referring to. Yeah, like, I mean, there's a lot of, when it comes to the science of changing genes, that's a whole specialized part of science. There is tons and tons of stuff that goes into gene editing. But let's put it this way. The simplest way to edit a gene is forced natural selection, which then doesn't become natural selection, but you get what I'm saying. The easiest way to make moths change from bright, light-colored moths to dark-colored moths is to pollute the entirety of the environment so there's less sunshine and there's soot on all the trees that they live on. And so eventually, over years, they'll develop a darker color to blend in with this new environment. Again, we as humans manipulate the genes of things all the time, intentionally or otherwise. That's my point. Anyways, that computer file example, you literally had to imply that you understand exactly what causes it to go from one point to another. That the specific issue with this gene, we don't and can't with genes. That's the thing, is we can. We can track genes. We can see how genes change over time. We can track genes. We can see a stereotypical virus, right? Stereotypical swine flu. We can see how it went from pigs to humans to all around the world. We can see phase 1 to 100, completion. Completion being that it's spreading all around the world and killing people. We can see step 1 through 100. With this disease, we literally can't see anything other than the start and the end. I'm not saying I personally know how the computer completes the file 1 through 100. I'm just saying pretend you do. Pretend you're one of these scientists that does know that. Pretend you're one of these virologists that does know that. These virologists that know that say, we can see 1, we can see 100, we can't see anything in between. Every other disease in all of human history, we can track 1 all the way to 100, all 100 processes. This one, we can literally only see 1 in the end. That's what they're saying. I'm not saying I know. I'm saying that's what the scientists are saying. That's what I'm pointing to. LOL, a character called Gaelic. Yep. Pretend you have a wealth of knowledge and you know every single action of a computer. Yeah, pretend you're one of these scientists. Pretend you're one of these virologists. That's basically what I'm saying here. Pretend you have a wealth of knowledge and you know every single action of a computer needs to do to go from 100%. You cannot apply an example to a gene because we don't have that knowledge. We do have that knowledge. That's what I'm saying. Scientists, not me, but scientists, virologists do have that knowledge. That's what I'm saying. The scientists are saying that we do have that knowledge. Or at least they do. Oh, when you were saying things about war, I thought you were trying to say it was intentional. No, I'm not saying it's intentional. I'm just saying, again, it's kind of like when I brought up the twins example. I'm saying that China is doing things that the rest of the world considers inhumane. How many times are they going to get away with that before the rest of the world is like, hey, you're going down a path that's going to kill everybody, so we need you to either stop or we're going to have to force you to stop. That's what I mean. I'm not attributing intent by any means, especially not on the scientists. The scientists are the last person to blame. Yes, they're the ones that possibly did it, but they're the last person to blame because they're just doing what their nature as scientists tells them to do. You give me funding, I don't care about all this other stuff. I care about the thing I'm laser focused on, which is being a virologist. Let me get some water. I just realized I haven't drinking any water in a hot minute. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you that the bubonic plague from flies. Yeah, I mean, like, we can always attribute where it came from. Doesn't mean we're going to blame it on anybody, but the problem is that it's hard not to. So in a situation where there's a fight between two kids, if you can't prove who did it, but one of them is trying to cover it up, right? Like say two kids get in a fight and you come in and there's a hole in the wall. Neither one of them will admit to doing it. Again, this is a bad example, but you can't prove either one of them punched a hole in the wall. Say you walk into your friend's home, right? To pick up your kid. You never seen that hole in the wall, but you now see there's a hole in the wall. You don't know which kid did it. It looks like it was one of the kids. Neither one of them will admit to it, but one of them's trying to cover it up. You're probably going to blame that one, right? That's the point. So yeah. That's why the blame is being shifted to there by most of the virologists that are looking into this. I believe they found the virus in bats, is what they said, or a snake, bats. With a computer, if your computer is frozen, you can press Control-Alt-Delete to influence it, to eventually show the screen of screen that was once it's unfrozen. Okay. So that could be an example of how you can influence it. I mean, I'm not using that as an example of influence. I'm using that as an example of why there's suspicion, not as an example of why how it could be influenced. I'm using the computer example purely as an example of why we're saying there's something going on here that's not natural. or it could just remain frozen, other things to be implemented. Okay, no, the only way you can prove a negative is by proving positive causation. The problem is that if I want to prove to you that this book says something, but you refuse to read this book, then how can I prove it to you otherwise? I can't. Right? How can I prove it to you? If I want to prove this book says something and you refuse to read it, then how can I prove it to you otherwise? That's my point. Is by proving positive causation. Well, again, so yes, I can't prove that it came from this lab. But again, it either came from this lab or it's like nothing we've ever seen before in all of human history. It would be akin to an alien coming down from the sky and saying, "Hey, we exist." That's what it would be akin to. It is that crazy of a mutation. Or, I guess, here's my thing. My argument is a normalcy bias argument. My bias is to say that the world is normal and is probably going to stay mostly normal. So yes, it's a normalcy bias argument. I'm saying that, yeah, the world pretty much stays the same all the time. It changes slowly, but that constant rate of change is still a normal thing. So yes, it's a normalcy bias argument. Yes, it could be something so far out of left field, it would be akin to aliens coming down out of the sky and saying, "Hey, we exist now." That's the level of the rate of change that is so far insane. It changed so fast that either it is that it's basically magic. Again, magic being science that is so advanced we can't comprehend it. Either it's by that definition magic, or it's the lab. So, are you arguing for it being magic? Is that what you're arguing? It's just something that we have never ever seen before in all of human history. It's aliens. I mean, that's basically what the argument would be. It's magic or it's aliens. Oh, it's aliens. I mean, it's either it's the guys in the lab that it appears to be, or it's aliens. That would be, but it's basically akin to. You cannot say there is no evidence you're kissing your cousin. I just haven't found any. Okay, yeah, you can say that. There's no evidence that you're kissing your cousin. I just haven't found any. Yeah. No, but that's the thing, though, is the kissing your cousin argument isn't even exactly the same argument. Here's the difference between the coronavirus argument and the kissing your cousin argument. You walk out of a room with your cousin, right? You're in a room with your cousin. You walk out of that room, you've got lipstick all over your face, her lipstick smudged, and they appear to be the same color. I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything other than you leaving that room. Can't prove you were kissing on your cousin, or that at least that she was kissing on you. Can't prove that you were kissing on your cousin because I wasn't in there. I didn't see it. I don't have any evidence other than the lipstick on your face, other than the end mutation that we're seeing. I didn't see you go in that room. I didn't see anybody else come out of that room. There could have been, your cousin could have just happened to been in there. There could be 15 other people in that room. I don't know because you won't let me in to see. I just see you and your cousin walk out of that room and there's lipstick all over your face. And it appears to be the same lipstick. That's it. That's all I see. I see the end result. That's all I'm seeing. Or at least the scientists in this case, more so, the scientists are only seeing the end result. They can say, hey, well, through deduction, I know that you and your cousin, at least at some point, I don't know if a million other people walked into that room, but at least at one point, you and your cousin walked into that room. That's the only other proof I have. I have no other proof other than that you're walking out with what appears to be that. That's your evidence. Your only evidence is the end result. You do have evidence. It is the end result. You have your evidence. You have 2 points of evidence. You have the evidence of it started here, it ended here. That's your only 2 points of evidence. The cousin example that you're giving, you have literally no points of reference. You're just throwing out an accusation. This accusation has 2 points of evidence with a million things missing, whereas in all of history, we can see all those a million things. That's the problem with you conflating it to the kissing your cousin argument. We do have evidence. We have the beginning result and the end result and a covered up middle. That's the point, is that there are 2 points of evidence. But yeah, anyways, on to the next part. There's no evidence you're kissing your cousin. Again, so that's the problem with the whole argument. There is evidence you're kissing your cousin. There's the end result. We didn't see it happen, but there's the end result that looks suspicious. That's the problem with your argument. You can just say he's covering it up. I haven't found any evidence of him kissing. Again, yeah, so that argument is completely false because, again, you do have evidence. Your only point of evidence being that that's the end point and the fact that he's covering it up. If he says, no, I'm not, and he's trying to cover it up, if he acts suspicious, that's another point of evidence, is the fact that something suspicious is going on. That's the other point of that's a third point of evidence. You have beginning result, end result, and the fact that he's being suspicious. If he just says, you're freaking weird, I don't know why you would think that. And again, saying he's suspicious, again, goes into a whole nother thing of what do you determine to be suspicious. What I determine to be suspicious in the actual case that we're facing, not the thing that we're conflating it to, but the suspicion that we have is the fact that the Chinese government has completely covered everything up. If it didn't come from this lab, if it was natural, here's the other thing that makes it even more suspicious. If it was natural, it's kind of like the moon landing. People that deny the moon landing. The easiest way to prove that the moon landing happened to people that don't believe the moon landing happened is we were in a space race with Russia. If we faked the moon landing, do you not think that Russia would have done every single thing in their power to debunk it and to prove that we didn't actually go to the moon? They would do everything in their power to debunk it. Again, attributing that to China. If they can prove that this happened naturally, wouldn't they be showing everyone the evidence? Wouldn't they, instead of covering everything up and saying nothing to see here, wouldn't they say, hey, here's the exact evidence. This is how it happened. I mean, sure, maybe they don't know it. Maybe they can't prove it yet. Or maybe they're trying to come up with evidence and falsely make evidence and fake evidence. There's a reason why when a crime's committed, they separate the criminal from the crime scene. So they can't tamper with the evidence. Problem is that the evidence is controlled by the criminal. And the cops are controlled by the criminal. So yeah, that's the thing. I think you can prove a negative with a negative. Saying like, oh geez, okay, this is getting weird. Saying like, this here is bad. And then someone says, this is also bad. And both things are negative things. But one is more negative than the other. I don't get you, PP. Sorry, I don't get you. And the one that is more negative outweighs the other and proves it off. Okay, anyways, assuming that this is an unnatural thing, okay? Assuming that this is an unnatural thing that has been done by a person, is preemptively denouncing any explanation. Okay. Long sentence here. Assuming that this is unnatural, assuming that it is a unnatural thing, that has to be done by a person, is preemptively denouncing any explanation that comes after it. Again, but that's because we can't. Okay. Well, anyways, assuming I'm reading this again. Assuming that that it is an unnatural thing. Sorry, that's the beginning. That's the whole crux of what you're saying here. Assuming that it's an unnatural thing. Again, the doctors and me, because I'm reading what these doctors are saying, the doctors and I are not assuming that it's an unnatural thing. We're saying that we can't point to it ever happening anywhere else in nature. This is the first time it's ever happened in nature. aliens, for instance, back to the aliens thing, aliens are probably natural organisms. They just don't exist here. So we can't, without getting our hands on one, we can't prove what it mutated from because it mutated from something from its planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's either it's natural and it's something we've never seen before, basically closer to an alien than something that developed here on Earth because there's nothing else like it ever, or it's not natural. It's one or the other. It's either natural and there's no evidence to prove that it is, or it's made in a lab and there's no evidence to prove that it is. But again, that would be like saying it's an alien. Like, yeah, it's a biological organism, but not made here. Has been done by a person is preemptively denouncing any explanation that comes after. This could be the thing we just don't understand because it's new. Again, yeah, it could be new, but the problem is that even something that's new, we can look at the rate of change. So the rate of change naturally, this is a bad example. I'm going to say that outright. This is a bad example, but look at it like Pangea. Assuming that Pangea is real and the continents are slowly drifting apart, eventually, the idea would be that they'll eventually reconvene on the other side of the globe. That's kind of the point here. I mean, I don't know of any other way to explain it. Let me reread it and see if I can explain it a little bit more in depth. Be a thing that we don't understand because it's new. What would be new is, so we have the old, which is Pangea. We have the current, which is separated continents, and we have the new, which would be Pangea reforming. The problem is we have Pangea reformed right now, and we have old Pangea. It would be like, with the Pangea analogy, it would be like we look at a planet and we see Pangea. We look at that planet again, Pangea is magically gone. Now it looks completely different and it's on the other side of the planet. Well, what we think happened is that it rotated. Eventually, these continents separated and separated, eventually spreading out so far that they reconvene on the other side. That's what we assumed happened. It's a new landmass. That's what we assumed happened, but we never saw anything happen. We just see one continent, it disappears, now there's a new continent. That would be the explanation. And either there's a natural cause or an unnatural cause for, say, the Pangea thing would be that, you know, some organism decided to move, or that it's not actually a continent. There's a bunch of other explanations, but there is a natural one. It would just be extremely weird because continents don't move that fast, would be kind of the explanation with the Pangea argument, right? There is an explanation. There is a natural explanation. The problem is that the natural explanation doesn't make sense because continents don't and can't move that fast. And again, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to explain this, but again, I've been talking for a while at this point. So let's see. Right quick, let's look. So we got both our clan boss keys out of the way. Let's come back here to arena and try and do some arena battles. Is there anybody else in here? I think I already clicked through all these guys. Okay, so let's see. Bang, bang. All right, just saying this is man-made. Again, I'm not 100% saying it's man-made, but it's so different from anything else on this planet. It's either man-made or it's the closest thing we would have to associate it with would be it's alien. It would be like, okay, it's like a spaceship. If you were walking into your backyard and you see a spaceship, unmanned, there's nobody in it, a spaceship is magically in your backyard, out of nowhere. You're going to either assume one of two things, which is that this is natural in the sense that, like, people on our planet made it. But if you look at it and you say, this technology is so advanced, I don't think this could be man-made. Well, then the only other explanation is that it's something you don't understand, aka back to the reason why I was calling it like magic. Or, so it's like magic and it is man-made, or it's alien. Like that's the thing. It's only one or the other. It can only either be something that is so wildly different, it's like magic or basically an alien, or it's man-made. And the problem is that, say, in this flying saucer landing in your backyard example, you just happen to live next to a top secret military airbase. Well, it looks so advanced that you don't think it would be man-made, but you don't necessarily think it could be alien because there's a top secret military base right there, right? So you'd be more likely to believe it's some technology that they were going to crash if they didn't land in your backyard, and it just happened to be here. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the evidence is, here is the thing in front of you that we're looking at. In this example, be it coronavirus or the spaceship. You just happen to live next to, the coronavirus just happens to be next to a lab, or the spaceship just happens to be next to a top secret military base. So, either it came from the top secret military base, or the lab, or it is aliens and it just happened to have landed in the one spot that it would be most convenient for it to be. If aliens wanted to hide the fact that they were aliens and they wanted to park their flying saucer, they'd park it at a top secret military base because that's where you'd expect top secret crazy technology to be, right? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's one or the other. The problem is that the other is so wildly crazy out of left field. Your normalcy bias is going to lean towards you saying, oh, it was probably just the lab. That's kind of the point. Did I already look through all these? I think I already looked through all these. Okay, so I can't fight any of the guys. We're just waiting 11 minutes for the refresh. And I need to be going to the gym. It's already almost 5. Jeez, this got into a way more intense discussion than I was expecting. Where am I? Assuming, okay. Is just going to be explained. Oh, wait, just saying this is man-made is, and it's being covered up, is saying that if we study it, is saying that if we study it, which the problem is this is already right here. What you're saying is not right because we have studied it, or I haven't, but scientists have, virologists have. Just saying that, just saying this is man-made is being covered up, is saying that if we study it and if we figure out what happened, and we figure out how to prevent it from happening again, it is just going to be explained away as a cover-up. And yeah, I agree with you. Saying it's a cover-up is bad for future progression. The problem is both avenues need to be investigated. And this is the part I completely agree with you on, is that both avenues need to be investigated. Either way, we need to figure out how this happened, because either it happened in a lab and it's being covered up, and that's insanely dangerous, or this is so alien and new to us that this might happen. Either way, yes, this could happen again. And either we need to figure out how in the heck this happened in nature and it's never happened before, or we need to figure out if this lab is doing experiments that they shouldn't be doing. That's what we need to figure out. The problem is either way, it's being covered up, and the only way to keep it from being covered up is to do things that would be considered war-esque. I'm going to get another drink of water. But yes, I do agree with you either way. Just because it's a cover-up, saying, so even if people do agree, if globally we have a consensus that this is a cover-up, doesn't mean we stop the investigation because it's a cover-up. That means we need to figure out for sure how this happened and get it to stop. I agree with you that either way we need to get it to stop, and that yes, saying that it's cover-up might make people be a little bit more complacent about it, but I would hope that it wouldn't. Anyways, I can't be part of this discussion. The assumption that a lack of understanding is evidence, that's the thing though, is that's not the only evidence. The evidence is the end result and the beginning result. That it's not the only piece of evidence. It is a piece of evidence, but The assumption that a lack of understanding is evidence that it is man-made is absurd to me. Well, then what else can it be? Nothing in nature ever has been like this. So it is basically alien to this planet because, again, never happened before, not consistent with rate of change of the planet, or it's something that a guy did. It's one or the other. And it's either so wildly different than anything else on this planet that it's magic-esque or alien-esque, or it's the logical explanation, which is that it looks man-made. There's a lab that's trying to do this right next to it. No one wants to just say, I don't know. They need to come up with this absolute nonsense. The problem is that saying I don't know is kind of the same thing like what you just said. Saying I don't know leads to a sense of complacency where they say, we don't know. We're just going to stop investigating. No, we need to keep investigating it. That's the point. Like, come up with this absolute nonsense. The problem is that what is nonsense and not nonsense? What is nonsense once it's proven is no longer nonsense. For instance, the fact that the American government willingly infected black people was nonsense until we had people come out and prove it and admit it. It's nonsense. Conspiracy theories, I guess, is where we're headed here. Conspiracy theories are nonsense until they're proven otherwise. The problem is that it's hard to prove conspiracy theories as not being nonsense because a lot of the times, if they're proven as true, there are big ramifications. And again, in this example, it's either you think that this is basically alien, or you think that the lab that just happens to be working on something similar made a mistake. It's one or the other. Like, I don't see how you can't think it's one or the other. I agree with you. It could be natural. But if it is natural, it again doesn't fit with the rate of change of everything else existing on this planet or anything else on this planet just in general. So it would have to be magic or alien. Like, I'm not saying that it is actually magic or it is actually an alien, but it would be akin to that because it is so different from everything else we've ever seen, ever. That's the reason why I keep attributing it to magic/alien. The discussion, not you. You are a human. The discussion, not you. You are a human. I do not dislike you for having this discussion. I'm saying the discussion is nonsense. I'll be back tomorrow. Oh man, he left? Dang. All right. Well, I guess if you left on that note, let me finish by, I guess Wimley doesn't tend, PP does come back and rewatch these sometimes. Wimley doesn't tend to, but I'll finish up by saying this anyways, as if he's gonna come back and watch the rest of this. You don't dislike me, you just dislike the discussion. I don't know, like, the problem is that leaving a discussion, sometimes you're just not going to have a discussion isn't always going to lead to both sides agreeing, but the discussion does need to be had so that at least some sense of consensus could be formed. The problem is that again, I can't disprove you. You're saying that it's natural. My only way to disprove that it's natural is that nothing else on the planet ever has looked like this. It doesn't fit the rate of change. You're saying that it most likely is natural. It didn't come from the lab. And how do you disprove that it came from the lab? Well, they haven't denied it. So you can't even reference a denial by the Chinese government saying that it didn't come from there. So you can't reference a denial to disprove the lab. You can try and reference evidence to it being natural, but there is none. So how would I prove it came from the lab? I can't. How would you prove it came from nature? You can't. How do you disprove it came from nature? Well, it doesn't fit the rate of change, and it doesn't look like anything else. How do you disprove it came from the lab? You kind of can't, because they won't even deny that it came from there. So, like, that's kind of what the argument boils down to. And argument's probably not the best term, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I think Clipper did say it was hypothetical as well. You can alter the genome and not see how it isn't natural because the pathogen randomly mutates anything. Yeah, and that's the thing. If you change one gene in a piece of DNA, that change, if made accurately enough, like say you change one gene whenever a baby's forming, if that change was accurate enough, that change could actually literally affect nothing. Like you check this human once it's been born and see absolutely no change. Completely normal human, can't see anything different. But then you do a DNA test, you might not even see that change because her body, as it's developing, is going to mutate towards something more normal. So you might say, that looks a little bit weird, but you wouldn't be able to say that gene was edited. You'd be able to be like, something doesn't look right, but her body still came out completely normal like a human. Just something looks weird there. Maybe. So then when looking at her DNA, you're not going to just assume gene editing because that would be highly illegal to gene edit a human. And depending on where they're born, you wouldn't think that that would happen in your country. If you lived in China, you have to question it. But you would assume not gene editing because that would be extremely abnormal. You'd just assume mutation. The problem is with this mutation is unlike the baby, this mutation is so extreme. There's nothing. It would be like editing human DNA and the baby coming out as a goblin. You'd say, okay, something happened there. Like you might test the DNA of the goblin and say, oh, this looks like human DNA. That would be the only way you'd be able to do it. But like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's something, again, the argument ultimately boils down to where there is and isn't proof. And there is and isn't proof for both sides. And there is and or isn't proof on both sides. Anyways. We can't see that they changed. Not how... Oh, wait. We can see that they changed. Okay? Not how, not why. We can see that it has changed. We can also look at the rate of change, which is extremely abnormal. Anyways, I'm closing my laptop now. All right, I'll see you, man. So he did come back. Oh, and he left another comment down here and another one. Okay. I'm going to keep reading these as if you're here, Wimley, even if you have actually left at this point, because we are sitting at 5:02 now. I'm assuming you might have, but I'm going to continue to read these as if you are here. But yeah, the rate of change is something we can look at that you didn't reference here. We can see that they changed. Yes, we can. Not how, not why. We see that it has changed. Anyways, okay. Yeah, we can't see how it changed. We can see. We can see beginning and we can see end results. So we can see how it has changed. We don't know exactly how. We know that the file, back to the computer thing, we know that the file was started. We know that the file ended. We just don't know how that process occurred. We know that it did. We don't know how it did. And again, with the computer, the reason why I use the computer argument is that, like I said, it's like the file instantaneously completes. Well, that's not how that works. That's not how that's supposed to work. So why did instantaneously complete? Something else is going on here. Anyways, yes, literally that was a random. Oh, wait a minute. Did I miss something? Okay. Yes, literally that was a random mutation. Is it from a genetic change that is mutated, sort of like cancer? We know there is a change, and we know it's a random mutation. We just don't know how the mutation happened. Good way of putting it. Anyways, see you, Wimley. Oh, Pee-Pee's heading out too. Okay. Well, both of you guys have said you're heading out, but you're still here at the point I'm reading these comments. But I'm going to assume that one of you left. Whoever did leave, I'll see you guys on the next one, but I'm going to keep reading comments because both of you kept leaving comments. And this is not all nonsense. It's just us discussing theories about theories. It's not even discussing theories about theories. I'm just discussing what scientists are saying. That's what it's not a theory. This is like straight up what they're saying. If scientists know what and how it's caused, then they will know. If scientists don't know, then we don't right now. They don't really. Yeah. If scientists are going to try and find an answer, they just haven't been able to yet. And so they're going to continue to discuss it until they can find the answer. You can't prove the word is in the book if you're unwilling to look in the book. Yes. Just like you can't prove it's unnatural if you refuse to look into the gene because you think it's China. No, that's the thing, though. They can't find... The only thing that they can prove is that it mutated. Genes mutate naturally and unnaturally. They can't prove whether it was a natural or an unnatural mutation. They can just prove that it did mutate. The problem is that for that mutation to occur, other mutations have to occur before that mutation, and they can't find those previous mutations. That's the point. They can't find any of those previous mutations. They can see... So think about it this way. For your finger to curl, you curl here, curl there, curl there. There's 3 pivot points, right? 3 pivot points for your finger to go from straight to curled. The problem is with this disease is it went straight. It went from straight to curled instantaneously, and we can't find any of those bends. It's just different now. And the problem is that with a normal disease, you would see when it mutated from here to here, you can see it bent here, then it bent here, then it bent here, and now it's different. This disease, they can't find that. That's the whole point, is that they don't refuse to look. They've been looking. They're still looking to this day. We're now almost, we're sitting at close to a year later. They're still looking to this day and can't find no evidence other than beginning result, end result. That's the problem. And if I were in a party, if you and I were in a party and we were all sitting down in a group chatting, say 10 people, and I say, hey, everybody, Klepper kissed his cousin last week. How can you prove that I'm lying? I'd say, okay, do you have any evidence? I didn't. Do you have any evidence? No, you don't. Okay. Well, then you would say, do you have any proof that you didn't kiss your cousin? I would say, well, it's not normal. It's not consistent with who I am. That's the only proof I have. It's not, this mutation is not normal. There's no evidence to prove or disprove it, but it's not normal. So I would assume that it's one or the other. You get what I'm saying? Like the kissing your cousin argument is just a bad one to make because, again, the end result is part of the evidence and the beginning result is part of the evidence. The only third piece of evidence is that there is nothing in the middle. And again, the argument would be, no, I didn't. Do you know me? He doesn't have any proof. I don't have any proof, but you know who I am. You know how I am. You know how I work. We know how viruses work. This one didn't change, didn't do something normal. So yes, people can change and do something that they wouldn't normally do, but they usually don't. That's the point. And so how would I prove you're lying? I would say, you guys know me, assuming that you do. If you don't, I would say, okay, well, first of all, I wouldn't be in a room with people that I don't know. If there were 10 people in a room that I didn't know, I wouldn't want to be in that room to begin with. But assuming that it's 10 people that you and I both had common friends with, I would say, you guys know me. I deny it. You guys know me. Does this look like something I would do? Does this look like a natural change that would happen? No. That's the point. You have no evidence. You've made an accusation. You have no evidence. I deny it. I have no evidence other than to say it doesn't fit with the norm. You're accusing me of something that doesn't fit with the norm. I'm saying, yes, that's not part of the norm. So why would that be a thing? That's the only way you can disprove it, and then people have to make up their own minds. That's ultimately what this does boil down to, which is, like I said, one of two things. There's no way to disprove it came from a lab. There's no way to disprove it's natural. There's no way to prove it came from a lab. The only evidence that it isn't natural is that it doesn't fit with the norm for things that are natural. It's kind of like a car. You wouldn't just walk out and see a car and say, "Oh yeah, that looks natural." No, that looks weird. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, my ride is here. I actually have to go now. All right. And then he left. Okay, he said bye now, so I'm assuming he actually did leave. All right. I'll see you on the next one. Hope you have a good rest of your day, bro. By telling them where is your evidence, you show no evidence, then it's a lie. Yeah. Saying I don't have evidence is not proving to them that it's just a claim and I'm lying. Bye now. All right. Yeah, well, yeah, I know. I agree. It does not prove that you're lying. But you also can't prove, the problem is like you're saying, you can't prove either way. But my only way to disprove you would be to say, does that fit with the norm? No, it doesn't. Okay, chances are you're lying. If it doesn't fit with the norm and people know that I'm fairly normal and all of a sudden, and you're accusing me of something out of the normal, but I can't disprove and you can't prove it, are they going to believe the thing that's normal or the thing that's abnormal? That's why I said it's a normalcy bias, because they're going to be more likely to believe the normal thing, which is that no, normal people don't kiss their cousin. He probably didn't kiss his cousin. If people have a normalcy bias, which I am openly admitting I do, that's what it would be. They would be, oh, okay, there's no evidence either way. We have to make up a decision. I'm going to fall back on normalcy bias, which is that he's normal. He didn't kiss his cousin, right? That's the only way to do it. You can't prove it definitively, but where you lie on the argument is probably going to be whether or not you believe in a normalcy bias. The problem is that it's abnormal for this mutation to happen. It's abnormal for people to kiss their cousin. It's the same thing. Anyways, if you do show evidence, then it's true. The problem is, like I said, the only evidence is beginning result, end result, and then the fact that something weird is happening in the middle and nobody can figure out why it's happening. So normalcy bias says this is so abnormal, it either is going to be explained by it being men, magic, or aliens. Like, that's the problem. I'm saying it could happen in nature, just not our nature, because the rate of change does not fit with anything that has ever happened in nature before. So again, and again, I agree with you. Research needs to continue to be done, regardless of whether or not it does happen to be man-made or not. Either way, it needs to be stopped, whether it's man-made or not. Okay. Yeah, but if you're being asked for evidence and you refuse to give evidence, then we see that you refuse to prove your point. So Klepper would gain the side because you decide to not back up with evidence. Yeah. I mean, the burden of proof is on the accuser. I'm not accusing this. I'm just saying, I'm not making an accusation here. Which I guess you could say that I am. But I'm not really making an accusation. What I'm saying and what the scientists are saying is, this is weird. So weird, in fact, that it can't be explained by anything we know currently. Unless we just blame men, which man manipulating things would be the normalcy bias part of it. Like numerous scientists are saying, if this is natural, big if there, that it is so weird, it would be like it's magic or aliens. Not saying it can't be, and I don't know of any scientists that are saying it can't be natural. Most people are saying it could still be natural. It's just that the easiest thing would be to just say the lab that is suspiciously working on something similar to this and happens to be in the exact same area, those two things tend to lean towards. Okay, so ultimately, basically trying to end it here. Ultimately, if it is natural, they're saying if it is natural, its rate of change does not fit with nature here. So it's either something so new that's insanely scary, or it's possible that it's man-made, because whenever crazy, weird things happen in this world, it's usually because people got involved. So it's one or the other. The only other thing we have to go on is the fact that conveniently it came from the area where a lab working on similar things happens to be. That's the only other thing you have to go on. It's either so wildly, insanely crazy that we can't point to any way this came from nature, and that's insanely scary, so it's like it would be as if aliens came out of nowhere, or it's man-made, because that's the most common. Like I said, when things go crazy weird in the world, whenever cars start driving around, it's usually because man did it. When the world starts to die because of pollution, it's usually because we introduced pollution into the world. Do you get what I'm saying? Usually when something weird happens on this planet, it's not nature, it's us. Which you can argue we're a part of nature, but usually it's us. Usually the normalcy bias leads people to believing, well, either this is magic or aliens, or this is us. Most likely it's us. And then you point to lab that happens to be in that area. Like, you get what I'm saying? It's one or the other. And then you add in the fact that there's a lab that just happens to be there. That's why people are pointing to that lab. Anyways, meaning we have no evidence of it, but your refusal, so we can never know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Unless we see it. I thought Pangea was a medicine, LMFAO. Pangea is the proposed theory to why continents look like they're puzzle pieces almost, and that it could all have been one continent at one point. Pangea is the proposal that continents continue to drift apart, and so like how South America looks like it fits in the bottom of Africa. That's kind of the idea, is that the continents are slowly starting to drift apart. And that's why certain fault lines look, or certain, I guess, basically the explanation is that the reason why the globe almost looks like it's a puzzle that was all together at one point is that it was Pangea. All of Earth's landmass was concentrated into one point, and then as the plates started cracking apart and the magma started coming up, it pushes the land masses further and further apart. So yeah, that's what Pangea is. At first thought, I was so into prehistoric times and dinosaurs when I was younger, slightly, and I've already almost forgotten Pangea, LOL. Oh, okay, so you know what Pangea is, you just forgot momentarily. Hey man, it's all good. The only reason why Pangea is on my brain, so this is my brain. So all the stuff previously we were talking about when it comes to coronavirus, that was scientists. This is my own personal brain. So you can poke holes in this all you want. This is going to be my brain. People believe that the globe came from Pangea. This kind of falls back into the whole normalcy bias thing, which is people believe that originally the continents were in the form of Pangea, and that as plate tectonics shift, Pangea broke apart. And there's certain people that believe that, like I said, we're slowly spreading apart, so logically, eventually we'll wrap back around and reconnect. So there's people that think that that's true. Where was I going with this? See, this is the problem when I bring up my own theories and arguments, is that sometimes I forget them, because when I read something, I'm reading it. And so I have something I can go back and reference when I have a question. Whenever I'm coming up with my own theory, I didn't write it down, so I can't like revisit it. It's just like, hopefully I remember everything I thought at the time when I came up with this theory. But it had something along the lines of, like, people think that eventually we'll reconvene on the other side and we'll go from being Pangea to like a new Pangea on the other side of the planet. There's certain people that believe that. There's certain people that actually believe we're drifting back into becoming Pangea. And my theory was basically along the lines of, maybe we never were together. It just happens that because of the actual plate tectonics, the continents have formed in a way that looks similar. And basically that the continent... So basically either one of the two original arguments is that the continents do shift. And they do, and we have evidence that they do. But my theory is maybe they just shift slightly forward and then slightly back. They just keep shifting back and forth. And maybe Pangea was never actually a thing, and maybe new Pangea will never actually be a thing. It's just that we shift back and forth. Not saying that it can't happen, but my theory being that, again, falling back into normalcy bias, the continents have always looked this way. It's just that it happens to reflect the plate tectonics that formed them, and that will just continue to shift back and forth, and these continents will always be the way they are. That was kind of my theory, is that it's a normalcy bias theory, basically. And again, because I didn't write any of this down, and this is my own personal theory, go ahead and feel free to poke holes in it, because I can't really remember my whole argument as to why I thought that. But my contrarian normalcy bias put me towards not Pangea, pointed me towards saying that Pangea might not ever have actually existed. But that's my theory. That's just a theory. My theory. This has to be the longest discussion we've ever done, LOL. Yeah, it was a pretty long one, that's for sure. Hey, sorry, I doubt you're still there, Ben, but if you are still there, nice seeing you. Hope you've enjoyed me talking at the people on YouTube. I'm risking my A to stick around, LOL. Well, like I said, PP, you do tend to watch these the next day, so feel free to tune in tomorrow and finish up watching the stream if you are still intrigued by tomorrow about the discussion that we have had thus far. Feel free, man. Content is always there, as long as I don't go over 2.5 hours, which we might actually be... Ooh, we are actually getting really close to 2.5 hours, so I do have to end it rather quickly. Otherwise, this won't be a video, and PP won't be able to finish watching it tomorrow. So, I better wrap it up here. Let me... Dang it, there's energy there that I want to spend. Okay. So, I think we're good on Raid. So, I'm going to finish up reading, and then we're going to end the stream. I'm going to stop talking now, LOL. XD, Annie B, what's going on, Annie B? PP has left the chat. Why stream so late? Sorry, Annie B. Sorry it took me I'm just going to keep going with Annie B. The reason why I'm streaming this late is we got on to the discussion of whether or not coronavirus is man-made. That's the discussion we got onto, and that is a long discussion that doesn't really have an answer, because it's, you know, being covered up, whether it is or is not man-made. Either way, the evidence is being hidden. So yeah, that also is, I guess, a good point as to why it might possibly be man-made, is because why would you hide the evidence otherwise? The problem is that, like, with the going back, so this is going to go back to Wimley's argument, going back to bringing it back to the whole kissing cousins situation, is, let's say so if I were to kiss my cousin, there would have to be evidence, right? Well, no, because a kiss doesn't leave any evidence. There is no end result. But let's say, like I said, when I related it back to the kissing cousin things, say you come out of the closet, you've got the lipstick on your face, and your cousin comes out of the closet, has a similar, almost exactly the same looking lipstick, and you have lipstick all over your face. Now, these other guys walk in with me. It would be like those 10 people seeing you come out of that closet with your cousin with all the lipstick on your face. There's no evidence. There's an end result. And the only way to disprove it or to prove it would be for evidence. The problem is that so let's just say the other option would be that there's a bunch of other people and you were kissing some other girl in there. The evidence would be to let us go in and see if there's another girl in there, because we would like to assume that you weren't kissing your cousin. The only other answer would be let us go into the closet to see if there's another girl in there to prove whether or not you were kissing your cousin. But if you now refuse to let us go into that closet to see it, then what are we going to be more likely to believe? That's the whole point. There's an end result. There's a beginning result. There's an end result. We can prove the beginning result. We can prove the end result. The only way to disprove or prove the end result would be to go in that closet, because my normalcy bias would be to assume there's another girl in there. The only other way to prove that is if we go in that closet. But you, the one we're asking for the proof from, refuses to let us into the closet to see. That's why this is a problem. Because China, relating it back, China refuses to let us investigate. Not only is there no evidence that we can find, but any evidence that we would be able to find, they refuse to let us see. So that's part of the problem. Anywho, I haven't been here in a while. Today was a little bit different of a day anyway, so if your comment of I haven't been here in a while is trying to say that things have changed, today was a little bit different of a conversation. I don't even know how we really got started on the coronavirus thing. But yeah, we got started on it, and basically I was taking the stance of Annie B, because you are still here and they're gone. I was taking the stance of basically China refuses to let us investigate. We can't find any evidence to it being natural. We're suspicious because there's a lab that just happens to be working on something similar, is in the area of where this whole thing started. And if it were natural, it's so far different from anything else we've ever seen. It would almost be, so if you've heard in like Thor Ragnarok, they said that science or magic is just science that's so advanced we don't understand it yet. It would be, or magic is science that is so advanced we don't understand it yet. It would be, it's so different from anything else we've ever seen in nature that it doesn't look natural. So it looks like it's magic, or like almost as if it didn't come from this planet. So it'd be like alien. It is that different than anything else we've ever seen on this planet. So it's wildly different, doesn't fit the rate of change. There happens to be a lab working on something similar in the area, and the one person that can prove or disprove it refuses to let anybody else in to investigate. And so I was saying it doesn't look natural. And Wimley was saying he thinks it's natural. I'm starting SCL next week. Oh, nice. Well, or I guess whether or not you want to do that, nice. I probably won't chat till semester break. Oh man, that sucks. I mean, I don't mind if you're lurking. There's plenty of people in live streams that do lurk. I don't mind lurkers at all. To me, I do think it's more entertaining when people do talk, but if you just straight up can't and you just got me on in the background, I don't care, man. That's fine. I'm fine. I mean, views are views, and if I'm providing you with entertainment, then that's like all I can ask for. If me having discussions with PP and Wimley is entertaining to you, as long as it's entertainment that you enjoy, then I'm perfectly fine to provide that entertainment to you. So SCL is school. Well, I mean, I was excited whenever it came to high school. By senior year, I was excited for school. So I'm not going to assume you are or are not excited. Based off you saying and specifying that it's school, I'm going to go with you're not excited about it. So, yeah, but I actually enjoyed school. So, but yeah, on that note though, I am going way later than I normally do. It is currently 5:28. And again, I do like for these to go up as videos on YouTube. So I do have to cut them off at least by the 2.5 hour mark. And PP did have to leave before I finished reading all the comments. So I do think I want to end the stream here. So that way PP can watch the rest of this tomorrow if he decides to. And so Annie B, you weren't here for the beginning part of it. If you want to go back and rewatch the beginning of the stream, it would be best for me to end it so it can actually appear as a video. So yeah. Oh, I love school. Oh, okay. So then, yeah, I hope you're excited. I hope you have fun. But yeah, on that note, I think I'm going to have to end it there. Annie B, I hope you have a good rest of your day because you're the only one here. I'll see you on the next live stream. Peace.